How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want?
I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. And now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever at bartesian.com/cocktail. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/cocktail.
Well, shopping for a car?
Yep, Carvana made financing a car as smooth as can be.
Oh, yeah?
I got pre-qualified instantly and had real terms personalized just for me.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
Well, I got to browse thousands of car options on Carvana, all within my budget.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
It does. I actually wanted a car that seemed out of my range, but I was able to add a cosigner and found my dream car.
It doesn't get much...
Oh, it gets smoother. It's getting delivered tomorrow.
Visit Carvana.com or download the app to get pre-qualified today.
Times are old, in times of new, there's a guide to follow to make it true. It's the pop culture film, and
The Duel. One on one, mano a mano, or womano on a womano, or persona on persona. The standoff, the duel, the showdown. It's the moment where two characters come down and they face one another in an ultimate contest. Usually it can be at the climax of the film or the video game, and usually has a lot of emotional weight to it. There's something about the characters that draws them together, that brings them to this point, and it can be really powerful and impactful. And I'm sure a lot of you are already thinking of amazing and famous duels that have really stuck with you. More recently in the Ashoka series, there's been a couple like kind of standoffy type stuff. So we're not doing any more than two. That's kind of the rule that we came up with for the episode today. A duel is a duel. It's duo. It's two. But today, Cameron and I are going to be talking about duels, some of our favorite duels, why they are impactful to us. We'll talk about a few other famous historical duels and how that actually used to be like a thing, like a way that you would solve problems was dueling one another. We hope you can join us, folks. If you want more amazing content, please, by all means, go and check out our Patreon. We release full versions of our audio and video episodes there, extra episodes every month for our Tier 2 subscribers. And our Tier 3 subscribers, we do a live stream of a movie every month, and it's always a lot of fun. We got a Discord channel that we show up on. And so please come and join us for that. If you want to check us out on other places, I'm on Twitch. Cameron's on Twitch. I'm My Happy Self. And you can go check him out at KitGod or KitGod Cam. I was going to say KitGod Apparel. But
you can also check out KitGod Apparel if you like streetwear.
There you go.
KitGod Cam there too.
You know,
there you go. Izzy's rocking the shirt.
The coveted
Ultimate Marketing
Money Bat tee. But we're all over the place, folks. I got some YouTube channels that are going to be coming out soon that I think you'll be really happy about. More so gaming type stuff rather than military centric stuff. But I hope you'll join me for that fun. That being said, folks, let's get on with the episode. Cameron, what do you think about duels?
I think duels are an awesome way to settle your differences. Funny enough, like they're portrayed in pop culture so often, but like they've been a part of human history and culture for a long time.
Yeah.
Thinking back to movies based off Wild West, like showdowns, bring your pistols, go meet me, in front of the clock tower. We're going to settle it.
Exactly.
We're going to settle our differences, and one man's going to walk away. But that was a little bit more modern day, but they even go farther back than that in like colonial times.
Yeah.
There's real life examples of real life duels like Alex Hamilton versus Aaron Burr and other examples like that where, not necessarily needs to be a huge problem, but there's other, like Andrew Jackson, one of the former presidents, literally was known for being an avid duelist and dueled his lawyer at the time because he made disrespectful remarks against his wife. So he dueled him.
Wow.
And Alexander Hamilton didn't get the first shot off, but he was grazed in the chest. But his shot was lethal on his opponent and killed him.
Wait, Alexander Hamilton? What did you just say?
Andrew Jackson.
Oh, Andrew Jackson. Okay, he did. Wait, I was.
Did I say? Yeah, did I say Alexander Hamilton?
I don't know. When you talk, I just stop listening.
No.
So.
Okay, that's I'm used to that. No, Andrew Jackson, I'm pretty sure, dueled his lawyer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, have you ever heard of the law of mutual combat?
No.
You haven't heard this law?
No. Law of mutual combat.
It's a real life thing,
Wow.
and I thought it was a joke, but it is a real life thing. And there's only 2 states in the United States that have the law of mutual combat still into effect today.
This is a law.
And this is a law, yes. So this is, the 2 states are, the reason I found out about it was one state is Washington State, where we were stationed.
Oh.
And then the other state is Texas. So pretty much what the law of mutual combat is pretty much, if you want to fight somebody, if you fight somebody on the street, you're going to get arrested.
Okay.
Like, you're going to get arrested. But if you live in a state that mutual combat is a thing, you can absolutely fight somebody in the street, and it's legal. Everything is legal. So the mutual combat first must take place in a public space, so it can't be in a private area. So it needs to be like on a street in the park or something. And then both parties must agree to the fight. So you can't just jump somebody. Yeah, you can't just jump somebody. So this is still old school, like, I challenge you to a duel, and the other person is like, I accept.
Wow.
Name your conditions. Wow. And it's, but additionally, the altercation must not result in serious bodily injury, or participant can face charges. So if it has to be a respectful combat. So like you can duke it out with your fists, but like when the person drops down, if you get on them and start beating them into unconsciousness, that is, you can face charges. But if you drop him and he falls, then you are considered the victor, and everybody walks away all happy dairy.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool, man. I didn't know that actually still existed in the United States.
Yep, Washington and Texas are the only 2.
Washington and Texas. Okay, I'll remember that if I ever move to one of those states.
Yeah, so you can challenge people to fights in public spaces, and if they agree, it's on. But don't do serious bodily injury. That's those are the conditions.
I like the kind of guardrails on it. They have to agree to it, and you can't do serious bodily injury. It's very kind of an honorable. If we're going to do this, we might as well be a clean fight. And once it's over, it's over.
Yep, and our differences are settled.
Yeah.
But I've always been a fan of that mindset. Even in the military, like that's, I think, was the greatest way to handle issues. Because I saw it firsthand. Like, obviously, I've talked in depth about the culture of the Ranger Regiment, and like, it's easy to have disagreements in the military. You deal with people from all different backgrounds, all different personalities, all different races, religions, ethnicities, you name it.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're going to come across differences in personality, differences in mindset, differences in political beliefs. It's all there. So if I really respected this one time because I had a team leader when I was a private that nobody liked. Like, he was the worst person that you ever would encounter, just because he never turned it off. He never turned off the I hate all the privates and I'm better than you type of mindset. And he would always just kind of mess with privates that weren't underneath him. And that's a golden rule in regiment. Like, never mess with someone else's guys. Even if you're the biggest dick in the world to your own dudes, like, if you go into another squad's cage and just start messing with some other team leader's guys, he's probably going to fight you. Like, it's, even though you're the same rank, you're the same job, like, it's not acceptable to do that. So this guy would always do that stuff. So one day, like, my other team leader told him to fuck right off. And then he looked over at the private that he kept messing with, and he's like, if that guy messes with you, fight him. I do not care. Like, fight that guy. So basically, he did it again, and my team leader's like, nope, you're not messing with my guy. You two are going to fight after work, and you're going to settle your differences.
He set it up,
and they set it up, and everybody after work went over to the gym, and they put boxing gloves on, and they duked it out.
Oh, wow, man.
And they duked it out, and there was never a problem after that. There was never, ever another problem after that. So it's, it's something I believe in. especially in today's world where, people get really upset over words.
Yeah.
And people sit behind screens where they can say whatever they think they want to say, or they say whatever comes to mind with no repercussions. Like, internet keyboard warriors can talk as much crap as they want with, a virtual fist isn't going to come out of their screen and hit them in the face and have them think twice next time what they say. So yeah, I think, dueling is one hell of a way to do it. I am a fan.
Are you a fan of somebody like Uwe Boll, who directs those horrible video game to movie translations, and people criticize him, and then he has the put up or shut up fight where he literally fights the people that have criticized him? Like, this is something that, and he loves it, man. He's like, I really respect these guys that they would actually, if they're going to criticize me on the internet, but then I say, let's actually fight. And he's like, and they actually do it. So I've seen that. Obviously he trains and he kicks all of their butts, and like none of them even like last 30 seconds. But I just think it's a really interesting concept where he's like, you don't like my movies? Fight me.
Fight me now. That's a great thing. Yeah. No, I do love that. What do you think, man? How do you feel about duels?
I mean, it's interesting. I don't know much about the history of duels. I know that it was like, I mean, I don't know, man. We live in a society, and we have so many gifts that modern day society has given us. One of them is that we live in society where a bunch of different people, like with different beliefs, can live in harmony together, right? Because of like certain strictures and ideas that are in place, and so we don't have to do duels anymore. Like, I can understand back in the day when, I don't know, I feel like maybe, I don't know why they did them. It was like honor was like such a big deal, and saving face, and how you look to other people was like that's your whole life, right? Like maybe in Japan or maybe old world kind of France or England, if you had a bad reputation, like that was it, like you're standing in court or whatever. So like in order to save face or to maintain your reputation or your honor, you had to really put it all out there, And I know that not all duels were created equal. Some duels were it's not like you had to duel to the death. Like there were different conditions for it based on the time and the place. But, it's, I don't know, man, like we don't have to do that these days. Like life is precious, and we can talk out our differences and maybe come to an agreement, or at least an understanding, if not an agreement. But what you say, I suppose in the certain circumstances, especially I think for men, for guys in particular, we are aggressive, I think generally speaking, more so than women. And so that may be like a legitimate way to resolve a conflict, because we get it out, right? You get it out of your system and then it's over with. Me personally, I don't have a very healthy and mature emotional life. And so if I did something like that, where like me and this guy, we had to box it out and stuff, if I lost, I would definitely hold it against him after that. And I would resent him for winning, and every time I saw him, I would think about how he beat me. Like we would have to have another fight to resolve the fight that I just lost, Well,
what if you lost again? What would you do then?
Oh man, I'd probably have to leave the unit. I'd be so ashamed of myself and have to never show my face around there again. But that's just me, man. Like I know that for some guys in some cultures too, they really don't respect you unless you can put up a physical fight or a physical struggle. You know what I mean? Like if you're not aggressive, they actually see that as being weak and they won't respect you. And so,
Ranger Regiment,
definitely. Yeah. I'm so glad I wasn't a Ranger, but, yeah, man, it's in terms of real life stuff, I'd say it's a gift to be able to talk out your problems. If you have that in pop culture, the idea of a duel, depending on the context, I feel like is one way to illustrate like an ultimate conflict between, an ultimate conflict, because it's a war is one thing, right? Even like an action sequence with involving like a lot of guys can be great spectacle and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like for me, I'm a big fan of the emotional impact that an action scene can have, because it's amazing that like normally it's the spectacle, right? You got the Raid Redemption, you got the John Wick films. After a while, you're not scared for the characters' lives. You're caught up in the spectacle of how cool the action looks, right? It's an art form.
Yeah.
But when it comes to some of the stuff that we have on our list today, between 1 and 1, usually it comes at the end of this journey that one or the other characters have taken, and it's to decide more so who the characters are rather than who's actually going to win the fight, right? Because with
Well, that's very deep.
yeah, like it's like with like, for example, like some of the Rocky movies, like the first Rocky movie, he actually doesn't win the fight, but it's about the journey that he took to get there, to get the shot, and about the respect that he earns from his opponent, from Apollo Creed. That's the journey that he takes, and all the other ones he always wins. So it's a little less impactful, but not so much so, because I see we got one on here that we can talk about. But
Yeah, that one's very impactful.
Very
If you want to
impactful.
start out on it.
yeah, let's start out on
Let's
it.
run the thing.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. So this was one of my picks, and it is Rocky 4. Yeah, sorry, I always get
The Roman
asked
numerals
backwards with
kinda
Roman
catch you up a
numerals. Yeah, I was like, 4? Is it 4 or 6? Yeah, Rocky 4, where it is Rocky versus Ivan Drago, and ultimately, this is more than just Rocky. At least for a country,
Oh,
there is
yeah.
there is a deeper theme within this movie, because at the time, we were balls deep into the Cold War.
It was coming towards
You know?
it was the kind of I could say the height of the Cold War, right?
Yeah,
Because it's like it had been this way this took place in the 80s. We'd had the Cold War since the 50s.
since I think late
40s,
40s,
there
the
you go.
Cold War
Yeah.
has been going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was I would agree with you at the height, because we're kind of coming towards the tail end when everything is boiling to a point, because as time goes, technology advances, capabilities increase, so it's becoming more realistic year after year after year that something could pop off.
Yeah.
And so in our propaganda episode, we talked about propaganda pieces. I would almost consider Rocky a piece of propaganda. Because you have Rocky that represents the United States.
Yep.
He represents a low working class. Hard work gets you to where you want to be, and then you have Ivan Drago, who is a captain in Russia, and he has all this technology, and and he has all this support, and and he represents Russia as the country, and they have one showdown at the end.
Yeah.
And my favorite saying ever is, "If he dies, he dies."
Yeah.
And,
you get that
yeah,
after Apollo dies. Like, he kills Apollo Creed in the beginning of the movie. Ivan Drago does, man.
Yeah, and that kind of symbolizes how powerful Russia is,
Yeah.
And it's a force to be reckoned with, and they're scary, so they need to be defeated, because there's this, Apollo's this amazing character.
Yeah.
And he also represents the United States as well, because there's a little bit of diversity in there,
Yeah.
And then Rocky has to come and be the underdog, which the United States is, and take out this massive evil in the world, and he does, and it's the greatest thing ever.
Oh man. And then he even kind of has this little kind of peacenik type speech, because throughout the course of the fight at the end between him and Ivan, at first the crowd is totally on Ivan Drago's side, and they play the Russian national anthem, and they make a big spectacle, kind of a reflection of Apollo Creed's spectacle living in America when he kind of comes onto the scene in the beginning of the film. But throughout the course of the fight, all of a sudden the crowd starts cheering for Rocky, and at the end,
Get it, Rocky!
Yeah, at the end when he wins, he's like, "And if I could change, then you can change, and we can all change." It's this kind of let's come together, let's be peaceful,
Let's come together and let's whoop Russia.
Yeah, with America on top, but peaceful. Rocky 4, great duel, because like you say, it had the power of nationalistic conflict at its core, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great duel.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got? Moving on.
Well, I mean, listen, we got to do this one right off the bat, because it would be criminal. There's 2 actually from Star Wars, but the one that we have to mention first, because it's from the better of the 2 movies, young kids, I don't care what you say, the Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader from Return of the Jedi is infinitely more impactful than Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, okay?
Oh man, see, from a young guy's perspective, I think it's the opposite.
Oh, that totally is the opposite.
But please,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the Luke's
Because you're a more deep guy. You have more depth to you.
well, I'm
So
older.
you care
if
about what
that's-
impacts you more.
If that's you saying that I'm older, yes, then I am older and more decrepit. But obviously, I saw Return
deep
of the
in
Jedi
your years.
years and years ago. But the reason it's impactful, because it's obviously, okay, we got father and son, right? By this point, Luke has stopped kissing his sister. He realizes that they're related. Darth Vader's his father. He knows that there's good within him, right? And so he actually gives himself up to the Empire and becomes a prisoner so that Darth Vader can take him, because the Emperor wants to turn him evil, right? At the suggestion of Darth Vader, actually, if he could be turned. He's like, yes. So they're on the Death Star, the new Death Star, while the fight is going on outside. And it's basically father versus son, and it's a light versus dark kind of thing. And Luke has already kind of been tempted by the dark side, right? And the Emperor even says, like, use your anger, strike your father down, and, you know, take your place at my side, you know. And and you know, it's so that's, you know, Darth Vader, you know, do it. He's like, yeah, he you don't think that Darth Vader's going to change, but this is ultimately like the moment where Luke becomes a true Jedi by choosing not to give in to his anger. But yeah, man, so great, so impactful, so well done, so passionate, right? It's not an intricately like technical kind of fight like how the lightsaber battles become later on with like the prequels and stuff, but you feel the weight of it. So that to me is why it's a more impactful duel than Anakin Skywalker versus Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll talk about Luke. I'll talk about Anakin.
Please
versus
do. I'd
Obi-Wan.
love to hear your perspective, man, because obviously I'm coming at it from a different generational kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, the topic of this is best duels.
Yep.
Right. So to me, being small-minded and young as I am, I'm like action. What is super cool about this duel?
Yeah.
You know, any duel that takes place around fire and lava, that's a cool duel. And then you have a former master and a former Padawan,
Yep.
which have that father-son bond.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because they've been through a lot together, and instead of seeing the flip side of to where, you know, Luke and Darth Vader, where the father's evil and the son is trying to redeem him, it's the opposite, to where, you know, the son is being corrupted and the father figure is trying to stop him.
Yeah.
So I still feel like there's that theme there.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and it's a crazy battle. We go down the road in, you know, technology of cinema to where, you know, the battle looks better. I've said this before on the podcast, but I think you say it's the greatest movie out of all the, you know, out of all the Star Wars franchise. But to me, it's just the effects are so cheesy that, like, when it starts again with Phantom Menace and you have all these all these flips and, you
Yep.
know, sword play is on another level
Yep.
of what I would assume that the Jedis are capable
Right,
of.
right.
It just doesn't do it for me in, you know, 4, 5, 6. But
Yeah.
in number 3, when you have this giant battle between, you know, father-like and son-like figures, and it's, you know, they have all the crazy moves and all the lightsaber play. It's just, to me, it's more visually stimulating versus, you know, in 4 where it's more emotionally stimulating.
I get that.
So I guess it just depends on, you know, what you favor in terms of, you know, fulfillment in these types of duels.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to kind of give credit to both of us in terms of,
Yeah.
because both of those, and I'm sure all the younger people listening to the podcast are like, oh, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then a lot of the older people are like, no, Luke and Skywalker and Darth Vader. Or maybe I'm totally wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments, you know.
Yeah. No, I respect what you're saying too. You know, different sides of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But you're wrong. And if you disagree with me, fight me.
Now, the real duel begins. Only one of us
Yeah.
is going to make it out of this podcast alive, Cameron.
I guarantee you, it's probably going to be you, because my shoulder hurts today.
Oh, no.
But anyways, yeah, moving on, man. We got a couple more on this list, and we've beaten Star Wars.
We've beaten
down
Star
to a
Wars to
pulp.
death.
I mean, yeah, it totally deserves it because it has some epic battles in every single, or epic duels in every single one. But let's get here on this list. You know, I mentioned earlier about any duel that has like fire or magma is like an epic duel.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this movie in depth, and
man,
it totally deserves a spot on this list. And it didn't do as well as I hoped it to do, but if you're listening to this podcast and you've heard us talk about it in the past, I hope you took the time to watch it, because it is an excellent movie, and it's The Northman.
Yes.
And the duel I'm talking about specifically is the end scene of the entire movie, and it's Amleth, who's the main character, is our protagonist, is fighting his uncle who killed his father and took his father's mother, which actually you've come to find out, spoilers, that she plotted the entire thing to be with the uncle.
She was totally in on it,
Yeah, totally in on it. And they have a fight at what's called the Gates of Hell, which is a volcano that is active. And they fight sword and shield, butt-ass naked, inside of this active volcano. And it is absolutely epic.
Yeah, it's nearly a one-shot, too, if I recall. I think there's just a few cuts in it. And they're, like, stepping over lava flows and stuff, and they're, like, just black with soot and sweat. And that's one of those things where there's an emotional impact, because it's all been leading to this moment from the very beginning of the movie up until now. It's all been about revenge, and he even has a chance to get away. Amleth does with Anna Taylor-Joy's character, his new sweetheart. She's pregnant. He sees her. I don't know if he has a vision or she does of like his line going on without him, having kids. They're going to become great like warriors and whatever, and one's going to become a queen. And he says, he's like, I can't do this. Like, I have to, otherwise I'm denying fate. And that was the whole thing, is like, you can't deny fate. You can embrace it, and you have to go with it. And that's the whole thing that he's been leading towards his whole life. And so he has to do it. So there's this great emotion, and he's totally taken apart Fjolnir's family. He's like killed his sons and his wife and kids.
Well. Shopping for a car?
Yep, Carvana made financing a car as smooth as can be.
Oh, yeah?
I got pre-qualified instantly and had real terms personalized just for me.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
Well, I got to browse thousands of car options on Carvana, all within my budget.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
It does. I actually wanted a car that seemed out of my range, but I was able to add a cosigner and found my dream car.
It doesn't get much...
Oh, it gets smoother. It's getting delivered tomorrow.
Visit Carvana.com or download the app to get pre-qualified today.
New on Curiosity Stream. How do you connect a 16th century potato to limitless energy production? Could Napoleon's toothpick have a direct link to a machine that predicts the future? And how can a 1700s conch shell chart a course to humans connecting their brains to the internet? James Burke's visionary series Connections returns for a new generation. Experience all new Connections. With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
Oh man.
Yeah. There's a couple 1v1s in that movie, like not just this final scene, but when he's securing this cursed blade, this like mystic blade, the way he gets it, he ends up going down into this cave where this like freaking wizard type guy tells him what sword he needs. He's like, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna need a weapon. And there's this, magic Viking sword that is hidden away, and you have to go find it, and that's the tool you will use. And he ends up fighting this like undead Viking like berserker captain to get this thing. And that's an awesome fight sequence as well.
Yeah, that's cool, man. No, The Northman, so good, just well done, well crafted. It's the only movie I've liked by this director. I hope he gets to do more, but I want to get one in there that
do it.
Oh man, it's so hard. I'm gonna just calm down.
We got a couple.
There's
more.
just
a few more.
Okay, I got two
and
then we can do honorable mentions. But one of the most fun, and then of course in typical fashion, there's a twist at the end. One of the most fun duels was from Game of Thrones, season 4, episode 8. You guys know the one I'm talking about. Pedro Pascal's character Oberyn Martell versus the Mountain, the big giant, soldier for the Queen. And it's basically about Tyrion Lannister. Haftor Bjornsson. Yeah. There were like three
world's strongest man.
Yeah, three actors that played that character, because I think one of them died, the other one got sick. It was like kind of a cursed part. But anyway, he did it, and it's basically Tyrion Lannister is on trial, and instead of like going into a kangaroo court and just getting found guilty anyway for the murder of his nephew, who was the king, Jamie, or the guy,
little crybaby
king who
kid.
dies and gets poisoned, and he gets blamed for it. He said he does what he did in an earlier season, which is like, I demand trial by combat, which is like an old way.
Joffrey
Baratheon.
Baratheon.
There you go. He's like, I want trial by combat because it worked out well the first time. Because it's like an ancient and old gods kind of way of settling, like a duel, basically.
A duel.
And so they say yes, and then Pedro Pascal's character, Oberyn Martell, you find out that a while back, the Mountain was responsible for the death of, I think, his wife and daughter or whatever. And so he chooses to be the champion for Tyrion Lannister, but really his ultimate goal is revenge on the Mountain. For what the Mountain had done to his family earlier on in the story. And so, I mean, this is the first time I ever saw Pedro Pascal in anything, and he's an amazing actor. And you can see, it's awesome to see the difference in their size, because the guy who plays the Mountain is just ginormous in every way. Tall, giant muscles. He's got this awesome armor on, kind of old medieval knight armor on. And Doran Martell has like a couple pieces of leather and a spear. And he's got this little kind of, it's more mobile and agile, but like he gets one swipe off with a sword and he's done, you know? But it's very well paced. It starts off kind of slow, and Oberyn Martell's like flipping all around, and he's like taunting him and like moving around like a snake. And the Mountain's just like crushing beams and like making big swings and stuff. And then you think, oh my God, he's gonna, Oberyn Martell, he gets a slice on, I think, his Achilles, and he kind of gets him in the armpit, and he's like poking at him, and the Mountain starts to kind of falter a little bit, and you're thinking, oh my God, he's gonna pull it off, and then the Oberyn gets him on the ground. Yeah, he gets him on the ground, and you're like, yes, all right, death blow, go for it. And then he stops, and he starts taunting the Mountain. He's like, no, you're not done yet. I have not gotten my revenge for all that you did to my wife. And he starts monologuing. You're like, no, just kill him. What are you doing?
Finish him.
And he gets close, but then the Mountain, he grabs the guy. He reaches out and grabs his ankle and flips him up, and then he gets on top of him. And he's like, yeah, I killed your wife and kid, and I crushed their skulls like this. And he puts his hands into his eye sockets, and he presses in and just crushes the dude's head like a melon. And everyone's like, oh, my God. It's like so gross, man.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then it's all over. Even though the Mountain ends up, Oberyn Martell had like a poison blade or something. So the Mountain ends up getting almost killed, and then he kind of gets Frankensteined back to life, but he's not the same guy after that. So yeah, it's so great. It's just one of those ones where it's so well paced, and then in classic George R.R. Martin fashion, there's a twist at the end, and it doesn't go the way you think it's gonna go. And pretty fun.
That's great, man. Yeah, that's an awesome duel. I'm glad you brought that one up. Duels can often be serious, but there is one duel on this list that is absolute comedy that I just have to mention because we haven't really talked about it on this podcast. But it's within the history of cinema an amazing comedy. And it is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. When King Arthur comes across, and this is fairly early on in the movie, but King Arthur is moving and he's trying to gain followers, his Knights of the Round Table, in order to accomplish his quest. And he comes across the Black Knight, who's on the road, who does not allow him to pass. And the only way he's allowed to pass is if he beats him in Mortal Kombat.
None shall pass.
None shall pass. None shall pass. And so anyway, he accepts his duel in order to let him pass. And the fight is just hilarious. I mean, obviously, it's an older movie. We're not going into I'm not taking the mindset about Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi, fight sequences. But Arthur ends up taking off one of the Black Knight's arms. And, they have the most cheap but amazing special effects where he just has this hose of blood coming out of his arm. And it's just squirting blood out of everywhere. And he's like, do you yield? And he's like, 'tis nothing but a flesh wound. And then the Black Knight starts fighting him again with one arm while he's just squirting blood. And King Arthur chops off his other arm. And now he's missing both arms.
Yep.
And he's like, this is nothing. He's like, I'll bite you to death. And then he, eventually King Arthur just starts, hacking off all of his legs and his arms. And he's just sitting there as a torso with a head. And he's not dead. And that's the comedy of it. And he just still wants to fight this guy. And he's like, and King Arthur obviously has defeated the Black Knight. But as he sits there as a torso and a head on the ground with all this blood around, he's just like, "Get back here! I'm not done with you!
I'll bite your kneecaps off." Yeah.
Yes, I'll bite your kneecaps. Yeah, that's just, duels don't have to be serious in pop culture. They could offer some comedic relief. They can offer entertainment besides like just a visual action masterpiece. And it's just worth a mention on this list just because I found it when, I saw this movie a long time ago growing up, and it's still stuck with me just because it's just an iconic scene from a great comedy.
I think that's a great addition. Like you say, man, they can have different emotional impacts, and obviously a lot of these ones are kind of, as I described, they are the culminating battle in two characters' kind of arcs or whatever. But one that definitely needs to be mentioned is from The Princess Bride. There's actually two, so I'll say the one that I'm going to talk about less first. But the more emotionally impactful one is the Six-Fingered Man versus Inigo Montoya at the end of the film, because this is the man that Inigo Montoya has been searching for his whole life since he was a kid, who killed his father. And he is, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
Prepare to die.
And it totally does not start off the way you would hope that it would, because he gets like stabbed right off the bat. He gets a knife in the gut, and then he kind of comes back and he keeps saying it. And the guy's like, "Stop saying that." And he's like, stabs the guy, and he's like, "Offer me wealth, offer me power." And the guy's, "Yes, whatever you want." He's like, "I want my father back, you son of a bitch." And he stabs the guy. And it's so awesome. It's just a great culminating kind of thing. But the one that is the most, I think, more remembered one, the exciting one, like you say, kind of lighthearted fun, is Inigo Montoya versus the Man in Black, or Wesley, in the beginning of the film. Like Wesley's after them. They don't know yet who he is. And so Inigo Montoya is ordered to stay back and fight him once he gets to the top. Or he's like, go. He's like, "I have to do it honorably, and I have to do it with my left hand because otherwise it's over too quickly." He's like, "Whatever you want."
He's like, "I'm the greatest swordsman that has ever lived.
Yeah.
I don't want this. I want this to be entertaining. Otherwise, there's no point of fighting."
Yeah, and they have the great exchange where Wesley's on the side of the cliff, hanging on, and he's like, "Hey, could you speed things up? I kind of gotta get on here." And he's like, "Well, unless you want to have some rope or something." So he throws him some rope, and he's like, "Hey, I swear, I'm not going to attack you until you reach the top," right? And
very honorable.
Very honorable, yeah. And so it gives a little bit of character development for him,
Yeah. The law of mutual combat.
And he kind of lets him take the rocks out of his shoes, and he gets ready, and it's great. It's very classic kind of fencing style in that one, and it ranges all over the set. They're both really impressive, and then Inigo Montoya switches to his other hand, and he starts winning. And then the Man in Black switches to his proper hand, and then he goes out. He's like, "I'm not left-handed either," So a lot of great dialogue, very witty. Princess Bride is one of those all-time classics.
Classic.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you put it. I saw it on your list. I was going to put it on mine, but I'm glad you included it.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad that you're glad that I put it on the list.
Are we we almost done, man? Because I feel like I want to just do honorable mentions for everything else.
Yeah, let's just do honorable.
Just blaze it through real quick.
Damn, Star Wars took up majority of this podcast.
Maybe it's
goddamn Jedis.
Maybe it's proper.
Yeah, but we'll do a couple honorable mentions here, just because they need to be mentioned, just because they're amazing scenes. How about I pick two, you pick two, and then we'll move on.
All right, cool, man.
Okay. So real quick, my honorable mentions is going to be, if you know me, you know it has to be in here. Aragorn versus Lurtz, Fellowship of the Ring, which, come to find out, Ugluk is not the Chris, and this is for Chris. Ugluk is not the Uruk-hai that Aragorn fights to save, basically when they're being assaulted at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring. It is not Ugluk who's the leader of the Uruk-hai. Ugluk's actually in the party that's killed by the riders of Rohan. I started reading the Silmarillion and looking into this nerd shit, so just wanted to make that correction. In fact, Lurtz is the Uruk-hai that Aragorn almost loses to in the Fellowship of the Ring, and that's an amazing duel. Just because there's a lot of action, you think it's going to go this one way. Lurtz has got the advantage on him, and then he manages to stab him, but Lurtz just grabs his sword and brings him closer in the ultimate Uruk-hai fashion, and then he ends up getting decapitated. But great duel. And then also my final one here, which I wish we had time to talk about just because it's such a badass sequence, is Maximus versus Tigris of Gaul in Gladiator, where it's the duel before he ends up fighting the corrupted prince. What's his name? It's like It's not Caesar. Yeah, Commodus.
Yeah.
But before he fights Commodus, he fights Tigris of Gaul, and it's just this behemoth of a man wearing just super cool gladiator armor. He has like the faceplate in the shape of a face, and he's got a ginormous axe and shield, and it's and then the tigers that are introduced. So he doesn't just have to worry about fighting this massive man, but he also has to worry about the terrain and the environment he's around, because they have these hidden latches that when they're opened, actual tigers come out and could kill him.
Yeah.
So just an awesome fight sequence there. Obviously, Maximus ends up becoming victorious in the end. But just an amazing duel, I think. Gladiator's full of just crazy duels.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they did. That's what they were literally duelers. They're brawlers.
Yeah.
So I just had to throw that in there as an honorable mention. So now, Izzy, I hope I didn't take any of yours.
No, you didn't, man. In fact,
Okay,
I like
great.
that, that Sven Thorsen was Tigris of Gaul, a longtime friend of Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's been in a ton of stuff.
really?
Yeah, and also the little boy, Octavian or whatever, like what's her name's son. He used to go to my gym.
Yeah.
I know him. I met him once.
Oh.
Yeah. Just had to
Awesome.
throw that in.
Yeah.
But
Awesome. Add it to the list.
and
dude.
hey, by the way, man, I love that Aragorn versus Lurtz mention because that one part where Lurtz throws a knife at him, he takes his own knife out of his leg that he stabbed him with and throws it back at Aragorn, and Aragorn actually hits it out of the sky, like in real life. Like
he deflects, he like
actually
parries the knife like a baseball.
Yeah, he actually
Yeah.
did that, and everyone was super impressed at the time on set when he actually
What?
he actually
I
hit
didn't
it.
know that.
Yeah. So, all right. So my two honorable mentions are going to be Boss versus Snake in Metal Gear Solid 3 is a video game. Came out a while ago. They're actually doing a remake that's coming out pretty soon at the time of this recording. But Boss is Snake's mentor, and at the beginning she betrays him, and you think she's a bad guy, but it turns out she kind of had these ulterior motives for actually infiltrating the enemy's camp, the enemy headquarters, and making it seem like she was a bad guy. So in the end, the ending boss fight is them in a field of flowers. And it's a timed fight because you have to stop this bomb from exploding, and she's trying to stop you. So it's a CQC battle. It's hand-to-hand. And it's timed, so the music, the theme song for the game starts to build slowly. It's at a low volume, and then as the time gets closer and closer, it starts climaxing and getting into like the main part of the song. So it becomes really dramatic. You're like caught up in it, and you really want to win because it's this great way of like orchestrating this really impactful emotional moment. And and it's an amazing kind of end to the game that is a combination of a bunch of well done storytelling elements. And then the other one is it's kind of a twofer because I just like the way that they did it. But there's Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows. It's the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes series where he and Moriarty are on the balcony of this hotel overlooking these waterfalls, and they're both thinking about how the fight would go. And so you're seeing the fight happen in their minds, but they're just standing there talking it out, right? And you can see, like how it might be, and they're talking, like how Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes does, where he'll describe what's going to happen before it happens, and then he'll make it all happen perfectly. Well, in the fight, Moriarty knows that he's going to win because Sherlock Holmes is injured, and he knows how he can take advantage of it. And so finally Sherlock Holmes says, unless, and then he just basically throws his cigarette in the guy's face, grabs him, and then pushes them both off into the waterfall, seemingly killing them both. He's like, that was like his third option kind of thing. And so I just like the way that they did it, where the fight doesn't actually happen in real life, but they're both talking it out or hearing themselves think about it.
They're both analytical individuals,
Yes.
and they're all pre-gaming in their head.
Yeah, and the second part of that one is this trope was done in a film called Hero, which is a Jet Li martial arts movie, kind of an ancient Chinese movie, martial arts action. And there's great martial arts action in it, but in this one of the masters that he has to kind of go into the other regions to defeat, he's kind of like on a journey defeating everybody. It's the same thing. They're standing there and they're looking at each other, and then in their minds you see manifested the fight, how it would actually happen, and the master sees that he can't win, so he just concedes and gives up. to Jet Li. So it's just kind of a neat way. It's another way of kind of showing the same kind of thing, so pretty cool.
Well, nice, man. Well, I'm glad we were able to get those in before we moved on here because freaking Star Wars. But we got a game, but before we got a game, we got a quick fan question from James Randolph via the PCFM email. Really short and simple.
Short and simple.
Yeah, very short and simple. Totally on topic here. Have you guys ever had to duel someone in real life? At the beginning of the episode, I was talking about the culture of the 75th Ranger Regiment, so absolutely I had to duel people. They would do private fights where they would pin privates against each other for the entertainment of the team leaders, and we would have to fight each other till submission. So great way to build character, easy way to get injured. What about you, Izzy?
Yeah, I don't know that I ever had like a one-on-one kind of duel kind of thing. My brother was a brawler in elementary school. He got into a lot of fights, and there was one time where he got invited to a fight by this really large girl. Like, even at that age, she was very tall and very, had a presence to her. And she wanted to fight my brother, and I remember after school, like, she had a friend at her side, and I decided to go with my brother, and we ended up getting into a fight together against this girl and her little friend. And
her little friend, was it a girl as well? Were you
no,
fighting
she
a girl?
She had like a little sidekick guy, a little sidekick.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say that's.
Why not?
I'm glad you guys are just kicking the shit out of women.
But we're like 8 or 9 at the time.
Yeah,
ridiculous. And so we had to go to the principal's office, but it all worked out.
No, man, it all worked out. Okay, well, we hope that answered your question really fast, James. Let's move on to our game, and I'm not seeing one, so that means you have a game.
I have a game for you, and actually, Chris failed miserably, and I just want to call him out on that. There was not a game available, so I had to come up with a game myself because I'm a genius, and this game is called Duel Nature. In this game, Cameron, I'm going to give you a character's name, or I'm going to give you one of the names that they are known by. And you're going to give me another name that they also have that is popularly known. So
sure.
So for a practice one, if I said Darth Vader, you might say
Anakin Skywalker.
There you go. Simple.
Okay, I got
Simple concept.
Nice, man. I'm ready to play whenever you are.
We just got 5 of these. We'll blast through them real quick. Not that we're trying to rush, okay? We just want to be respectful of your time. You're almost to work. Okay, you're in the parking lot. You're like, wrap it up. I got to go to work now. We're trying to be respectful. Okay.
Absolutely.
From Game of Thrones, Gregor Clegane.
Gregor Clegane.
Also known
as
Sir
Gregor?
What's that?
The Hound.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Ooh, close, but not quite. That's Sandor Clegane. Gregor Clegane is the Mountain.
Oh, his brother.
That's the big guy.
Sir Gregor.
Sir Gregor.
The Mountain. Yep. Yeah. Okay, it's been a while since I've seen Game of Thrones,
all right.
but
I'm trying to throw a few.
It's just his brother.
Yeah, I'm trying to throw a few curveballs for you.
Okay, that's fine. I'll try to catch them, but I missed that one. Okay.
Except for a couple of these, you should get most of these, I think. All right, here we go. Next one, Augustus Cole.
Augustus Cole. Coltrane.
The Coltrane.
From Gears of War.
From Gears of War. Good for you, man. Nice. Sorry, I'm kind of stepping on you. I need to slow down. I'm just going to slow down.
That's fine.
It's fine.
No.
I've had too much coffee today. Okay.
We got to respect their time.
We got to go, folks. You got to go. Your train is almost to the station. From Lord of the Rings, Elisar, also known as Envinyatar, also known as Telkantar. Who is this?
Oh, my God.
What character is this?
Okay, so quick thing. I am reading the Silmarillion currently. I am currently listening to it because I can. It's like literally reading Shakespeare. So if I can't read Shakespeare, I got to listen to it to have any fighting chance. And every character has like 5 names, and there is a bazillion of them. It's a 14-hour audiobook. I'm 7 hours into it.
Good for you.
Yeah,
what a nerd.
What were the names again?
Elisar.
Envinyatar.
And Telkantar.
These are all the same person.
Yep. This person has many names.
Is it Gandalf?
It is not Gandalf. I'll give you one more chance. This person's also known as Strider.
Oh, okay. All right. Aragorn. There we go.
I tried to look up some of his old like elven names. All those elven
Yeah.
words mean something in Elvish, like what,
They do.
light or
Yeah.
whatever.
Tolkien created an entire language
Yeah.
that like actually means stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Aragorn. Yeah, because Gandalf has multiple names
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
they
yeah.
all have multiple
They do.
names. But okay, Strider is an easy one. That's a giveaway. Yeah, so it's Aragorn. Okay.
All right. Next one, we get two more from the Halo series. The Demon.
The Demon from the Halo series. The Demon. I mean, there's not many protagonists other than Master Chief in the Halo series. I'm just gonna do the obvious one and say Master Chief.
That's correct. The Demon is the
Okay.
name that the Covenant gives him because they hate him.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
the Demon. Yeah.
It's the Demon!
Yeah. Good, man. I wonder if there'll be a season 2 of that show. I heard it wasn't very well received.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't well done. I haven't watched it.
All right. This is the last one. Just a man from history. From World War II, they called him Old Blood and Guts.
Old Blood and Guts from World War II. Jeez. Old Blood and Guts from World War II. It's not like, there weren't hundreds of heroes that came out of World War II.
Not too many
Old
prominent figures.
Old Blood and Guts. Old Blood and Guts. I'm feeling like you have to do some crazy stuff to get this nickname. For some reason, like, from World War II, Old Blood and Guts. What's his name? Is it General Patton? I'm just going to say General Patton.
That's correct. It is General Patton.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
Good,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, even though he was a general, he was like out there, and he was not a nice guy. So that's a good way to get Old Blood and Guts.
Yeah, that's good, man. Well, you stumbled out the gate, but you finished strong. I hope you enjoyed the game,
Awesome.
man.
I did enjoy the game. Way to create it on the fly in the absence of Chris's skill. So thanks for doing that. And shame on you, Chris.
Yes.
But folks, out of courtesy for your time, thank you so much. That is all we have for this episode of the PCFM podcast. Just like we mentioned earlier, check us out on all of our socials, our Instagram, PCFM podcast. Send us an email to pcfmpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions that want to get featured on future episodes, or if you just want to interact with Izzy and I, check out our Patreon for awesome exclusive content. Check out our merchandise, which if you're on Patreon, you get a 20% off discount code to our awesome merchandise. Check out Izzy on Twitch at My Happy Self. Check out myself on Twitch at KickGodCam. KickGod Apparel, Streetwear on Instagram or our website. And with that, I think I've said pretty much everything. Check out Izzy's brand new gaming channel.
Yeah, coming out soon, folks.
Coming out soon. But with that, folks,
Cue music.
Well, shopping for a car?
Yep, Carvana made financing a car as smooth as can be.
Oh, yeah?
I got pre-qualified instantly and had real terms personalized just for me.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
Well, I got to browse thousands of car options on Carvana, all within my budget.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
It does. I actually wanted a car that seemed out of my range, but I was able to add a cosigner and found my dream car.
It doesn't get much...
Oh, it gets smoother. It's getting delivered tomorrow.
Visit Carvana.com or download the app to get pre-qualified today.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.